This is Mike Trefel with the Trefel Group, and today I have a special guest with us. This is Adam Roberts with Cross Country Mortgage, and we're going to discuss the lending process today, why it's important, why it's a huge mistake when people don't get pre-approved and don't go to that step early on in the game. So Adam, if you can tell us a little bit about the pre-approval process, what's involved, and why you think from your standpoint why it's important, and I'll ask you a couple of questions from there.
Absolutely. The mortgage process always goes much smoother when you get the information up front. I can't tell you the amount of deals that you'll see where, had the client called up a little bit earlier, we could have solved a future potential problem. So as far as importance of getting it up front, you need to know who you are, you need to know your buying power, and you need to know certain situations might call for certain programs, or it might call for a certain way of setting up the deal.
Right.
For example, could be a seller's concession. The client doesn't have enough money for closing costs. Would be an example.
Perfect. And we see that a lot. You know, we see that the benefit of working within our team, and you know, we have Adam, who's our lending partner, attorneys, etc. But we're able to recommend, when we're dealing with Adam, and you looking at, you know, whether you're buying a home, buying a condo, it could be one program or another. And when you're working with a mortgage broker like Adam, for example, he'll guide you to the right program that fits you and fits the property that you're looking at as well. And it might make a difference, you know, 30-year, 10-year, or whatever it is, there is a difference, right? But about a pre-approval, how long does it take? What information is needed? What documents are required to get that done? I mean, that's step number one, right? Talk to you, get a pre-approval. What's involved in that?
Step number one is typically with a phone call, or obviously we can meet in person.
Right.
And really what we do is we take all the pertinent information, such as income, assets, job. We run the credit, and basically from there what we do is we request the documents, which would be the last 2 years' tax returns, last 2 pay stubs, bank account statements.
Which is something you should always have anyway. I mean, that's, if you're starting to be organized, if you're starting to look for a house, this is the information you're going to need.
Correct. It shouldn't be that difficult to come up with that information. If it is difficult in the beginning,
it's going to be more difficult.
In the end. Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's something, you know, as far.
How long does that take? I mean, is that a paid consultation? Is it a complimentary? What?
It's a free consultation, and I would say probably takes me about as long as it takes the client to get me back their information.
Okay.
So as soon as I get the tax returns and I run the credit, I can have a pre-approval out within 10-15 minutes.
Perfect. All right, and that sets us up when you're working with us, when you're working with us as a buyer's agent, you know, you're looking at a property, now you're ready to go. That pre-approval letter is so key, especially in this market when things are moving quickly. And who you get that pre-approval from does make a difference. You know, when we are on the listing side and we see pre-approvals from lenders that we don't know or we don't have a relationship with, it makes it that much harder. I don't know what that pre-approval actually qualifies for. So when you pre-approve, it's actually full pre-approval. You know that the person will be able to afford it, and we can go forward. I mean, that when we present that with your offer, it makes your offer that much more reliable. And a lot of our partners that we work with on the listing side, they'll see that, they'll see it's coming from our partners, and they'll be happy, and they'll really talk to us a lot more and present your offer much better and much stronger.
I think the biggest problem that I see with the pre-approval process is that I very often get clients who tell me that they were pre-approved for $200,000 3 months ago.
Right.
Unfortunately, you really can't pre-approve somebody based upon the purchase price, because there's other factors involved. Is the taxes $10,000 a year, or the taxes $5,000 a year? Is the maintenance $300, or is it $100? It really comes down to your monthly payment.
It's a process, right? And
correct.
Okay.
So for instance, if somebody makes $10,000 a month, okay, the bank feels comfortable with them spending about $4,500.
Okay.
Okay. That $4,500 is inclusive of the entire mortgage payment, okay, and anything else that shows up on a monthly basis on their credit report.
Right.
For example, the new mortgage payment plus the taxes is $3,000. They have a car for $500 a month. Okay, so that's $3,500. And they have a student loan for $500 a month. That's $4,000. They're qualifying because they're under $4,500.
Right. So it's a lot of little nuances that you need to know. And then when you're applying online, you're getting a pre-approval from a website. It's never going to be that detailed. And unfortunately, when that happens, a lot of times you get closer to the closing table, you fall in love with the house, you make an offer based on it, but then it turns out that you can't afford that particular home because the qualifying initial step wasn't done the right way. That's why it's always, always, always beneficial to work with our partners, work with somebody like you, to really truly understand what you can or cannot afford and create a budget based on that.
I mean, just probably about a month ago, I saw a horrible situation where the person was supposed to close on a Tuesday. On a Monday, they get the call that they're not issuing PMI insurance. Well, the reason why they're not issuing PMI insurance
Right.
is because the underwriter made a mistake on the income.
What is the PMI insurance?
PMI insurance is private mortgage insurance.
Okay.
When someone doesn't put down, when someone puts down less than 20%,
Okay.
they pay a private mortgage insurance per
Just so
month.
I want to know, our viewers can know. what it is.
Absolutely. Thank you. So basically, this particular client, after speaking with him, I realized that the lender used a second job for him that he only had for 6 months.
Okay.
Couldn't use that income, wasted 3 months, never closed on the house. That took me all about 3 minutes to figure out why they were giving him a hard time.
Right.
So it matters who you work with, okay? And it matters the questions. The more questions, the more we're gonna, unveil.
Right, and that's why we sit down, that's why we have the initial consultation. Look, we're working for you as an advocate. Don't think about us as agents, as salespeople. We're not. We're your advocate. We're there to help you, to guide you through the process. And if you do it the right way, from the beginning, working with the right partners, the whole process goes a lot smoother. We get you into the house of your dreams. We get you into the property that you love. And we don't have as many challenges and hiccups and landmines through the process. Because it's not enough just to find a home online and, hey, this is the house, and end up buying it. We'll talk more about it through our presentation, but it's really important to understand the whole process. When you're working with us, we can smooth out everything behind the scenes, eliminate a lot of the challenges, a lot of the landmines, work with the right lender, and build long-term relationships, which is what it's all about. Now, can you tell me a little bit more, once it's pre-approved, what's the other stages of the whole loan process, kind of quickly, step by step, so viewers can know, once it's approved, once the offer is approved, what's next?
Okay, so after the offer is approved and the sellers accept the offer, it goes into attorney review.
Right.
Okay. Once it's out of attorney review, it's time to apply for the mortgage, which at that point we already have your information. So you'd give us the property address,
Right.
plus the property taxes. I would enter that into the system. You would get disclosures via email that you would sign. Okay. We already have at that point your W-2s.
How long does that
pay stubs.
process take?
It takes us probably about a day or two to disclose the loan to you.
Okay.
Okay. It takes about 5 minutes to e-sign the documents. At that point, we've already requested the documents, which hopefully you've given us most of them. At that point, I hand the file into the processor. The processor goes through all the documents that you had given at the time to see if anything's missing. For example, we go through your bank statement and we see a $5,000 deposit go into the account. We need to know where that money came from. So we'll be asking for the other bank statement to see where the transfer came from. Okay, for instance.
And this is where it's important, it's a whole, process throughout. We're working with the right partner, you get all the information up front, you understand all the process.
And that's why it's good, as you were saying, not to come after you already have the house under contract, because you might have been able to avoid a money issue in terms of getting a gift, or maybe you didn't have the proper down payment. So there's ways around things, but you really got to make that call in the very beginning.
Right.
Otherwise, it's out the window.
Okay, and then once that's done, when is the appraisal being on?
The appraisal, typically what I like to do, depending on time, if the client has enough time in the mortgage commitment to go out and get the inspection,
Right.
then I'd like them to go get the inspection first, only because if the house is falling down, God forbid, we don't want them to go ahead and pay for an appraisal.
Right, and again, that's something that, you're working again with us, we're trying to look out for your best interest, so appraisal costs money. If we can avoid that, if a property doesn't inspect well and there's an issue, if we have to move on to the next property, then you didn't have to spend the money on the appraisal, and it's the right way to do it. It's really looking out for your best interest.
And with the speed at which we work, from the time I get the appraisal back, I can get a mortgage commitment in 2 days anyway.
Okay.
So our goal is to really protect the client's money and have them do the inspection first.
Has that shifted at all in the last year or two? I mean, we used to be able to close in 20 days, 30 days. Now it looks more like 45. Are you guys working with the same timeline, or you think we can do it faster or slower?
I think it really depends on the client.
How fast the documents are done.
How fast the documents come in. It also depends on the program. For instance, if it's an FHA deal and there needs to be some things fixed at the house,
Right.
that's on the seller. So it depends on how long the seller takes to fix that. But on a typical deal, 30-day closing is not an issue.
Okay. And see, that's what happens, again, if you are organizing everything up front. If you meet with you, for example, if our clients meet with you early on, even before we find the house, you're able to put all the documents together. Adam can notify you and tell you what you're gonna need a week from now, a couple of weeks from now. You prepare everything, you're ready, you personally are approved, and then all we're really waiting on is the house and the appraisal.
Correct. Once the appraisal comes in, file goes to underwriting within 24 to 48 hours. Client receives the commitment. That commitment basically satisfies the mortgage commitment.
Right.
Okay. And from there will be some other things that will be asked for. For instance, they might say, I need a new pay stub, or I need an explanation why your address reads XYZ on your credit report. And as you satisfy those conditions, eventually the loan becomes clear to close and you can fund.
Perfect. Okay. So, hope that was very informative for you guys. Again, it's really, really key to get to us early on in the game, to get pre-approved, to speak to us and have a consultation. We are your advocates. We are trying to help you and get you the best deal possible and get you the best house possible. When you have the right pre-approval, when all the ducks are in a row, you'll get the best deal you can get.
Terrific.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Adam.
my friend.
Thank you. Till next time.